Why should I use online training? Why should I use any training when the training we got the last time didn't work? And when people ask that of me, I say, well, what exactly didn't work? Tell me your process. And there's a lot of reasons why training doesn't work. And I start with the most basic, which is, were you really invested in it? Now, what does that mean? That means, one, did you pay for it? Because if you didn't pay for it, you probably didn't think that it was worth it. And you're like, well, what do you expect? Number two is, did you really look at the outcome and say, this is what I want in 6 months? Or did you kind of take it like, well, let's try this and then not really have the commitment? Or did you say, this is fundamentally going to change the way I do business and I'm going to put everything I can into it? If that's the case, well, then great, let's move on. So, why didn't it work? Oh, you expected people to train on their own. That doesn't work. There is no set and forget training, right? 90% of people who start with a guitar drop it shortly thereafter. And an awful lot of times people in January buy diet books, etc., and they don't work. Why not? Because they didn't change the behavior. See, here's the thing. So many people think that training is about just knowing more information. That's not the problem. A lot of people know you should welcome somebody, you should make them feel valued. What they haven't done is got it into their bodies, because it's easier to fall back on what you always did. And if you're a big retailer and you're looking at this, it's no different for you, with multiple layers, multiple stores. And if you're a regional chain, no different. Even if you're a smaller one-person store, that ultimately that inertia is where we always go back to, because it's comfortable. And trying something new might feel like, well, I've got to put on a tuxedo and run. And that doesn't feel comfortable. And a lot of people kind of like, well, I don't think I want to do it. Or they kind of have to it. Or they want to cram it all in at once. And that doesn't work, because if you're really serious about training, then what I want you to understand is that proper implementation works. That's why we've taken the time in SalesRx to come up with a whole training calendar. You know exactly how it's supposed to work. The first 3 weeks, your managers, your area managers, your sales reps, all of them go into the classroom with me for about 3 weeks, Monday through Friday. Every day they're going to train with me. And then after that, you're going to have a kickoff meeting, get everybody's questions answered, and make sure that they all feel like, oh, this is a we moment. We're all doing this. And then the associates go at a much slower level. They'll only take a couple of lessons twice a week. And the next week, you do mock sessions. Mock sessions is basically what the difference is between training and just hoping. Because you're taking whatever I've taught, and now you say, now let's see what that looks like in the store. We have it all figured out for you. We've written out exactly what you're supposed to do to make it easy for you. And if you just follow the plan, it works. But an awful lot of times it's easy to say, oh, training doesn't work for us. Yeah, you think they say that at the Yankees? You think the Stones go like, we don't have to rehearse? We know all of this stuff. No, because they're always looking for, how do we up our game? And in 2022, I'm here to tell you that, yes, the Omicron or whatever his variant is here, and it's maybe going down in the East Coast, might be going up where you live. It doesn't matter. It's going to be around. But what isn't going to be around is people's interest to go out and spend more money with your store if something doesn't change. Maybe you came off of a great year. Maybe you came off of, everybody just came to you and said, I want this. Do you have it? And you were in short supply, and you're like, duck and cover, like a bike store, sewing machine store. Oh, we just need to get enough materials. But at some point, that's going to normalize. And at some point, you're going to be looking around. And if you don't have a sales process underneath you, which is going to take about 4 to 6 months of training, then you're probably going to rely back on discounts and doing all the things that got you in trouble before, instead of looking and saying, wow, what is it going to take for me to get there? And I'm all in, I'm going to do it. You might have taken a loser's limp and go, well, let's all read this blog, or let's just have a meeting, or I'll show them in a meeting. The problem with why that doesn't work is you haven't altered behavior. So when people say to me, oh, well, we tried training, it didn't work. It's like, no, training always works if you are invested in it. If you know why you're doing it, if you're fully committed to it 100%, then more than likely, if you have a process like SalesRx, which we are training literally thousands of people around the world on 4 continents, how to develop rapport, how to discover the shopper, how to engage them to build trust, and yes, get the sale. If you have that system and you religiously go through and you train and you hold people accountable, and more importantly, you reward them for doing it, well, then you're going to be thanking me that we had this conversation. But if you've already tuned off and you said, oh, well, that won't work for us, we sell whatever it is. Look, it's not about products. Product training is very specific. It's like analytical, it's like doing a test. That's not the soft skills. The soft skills are, how do I open my heart to another human being, to be curious about them in a way that allows them in and to ask me questions. And then I can have the fun of experiencing the purchase with them. And with that attitude, it's how high is up, instead of I need to sell from my own wallet, or I just want to go over there and hang out with people. Look, retail's been beaten up. We get it. Frontline workers have been beaten up. You've probably been beaten up, been through an awful lot of things. But the one constant is retail exists because people come in to discover something more than they could have bought online. And if you believe in that, then you aren't going to say, we tried training, it didn't work. You're going to say, we used Bob Phibbs' retail online training, Sales RX, and it did work. And I'd love to tell you about it. So I hope you'll sign up today. But again, don't get caught in loser's limp excuses about why something doesn't work. If you first don't buy in at least 100% and give it your all.